I have an opportunity to go and speak in front of 25 real estate agents right now in a real estate office for Compass. And the owner broker was the one who said that I could come in and have 20 minutes. What would you do with that situation?
Interview the broker owner and say, how are they feeling right now? And I would try to leave that as open-ended as possible and try not to guide the conversation. You want truth. And you talk about confirmation bias in the beginning, right? You talked about the brain seeks to prove itself right. You got to try to not get into that and say, hey, how are they feeling right now? And up, down, what's happening? Are they positive? Are they struggling? And if you can create a safe environment with that broker to be honest, you'll get so much information on that. Now, you got to also take it with a grain of salt. Let's say the broker is upset because they're pushing him on squeezing him on margin, and they want to get paid higher commissions. So they're greedy, So you gotta sift through all of that. That's also where experience comes into play too. Is like having dealt with a lot of those different pieces, and you learn that stuff over time. But what's the broker say about them? And let's say it's a really high energy group. Is there any leaders in that group that you'd be willing to, that you could talk to ahead of time? Hey, how's the group feeling? You can get a couple different people and understandings. Now, if you don't know, you want to interview people. And the concept, I think for me, is saying, okay, there's a couple ways to look at it. We were taught in school that we can't ask for the answers to a test. Like if you went to school and you went to your math teacher and you said, hey, can I see the answers to the math test? They'd look at you like you're crazy and probably try to flunk you immediately. And so we were taught we could never ask for the answers. But then we get into business and it's actually the opposite. If I went to you, Tim, and I said before our podcast, Tim, at the end of this, let's say where there was a grading scale and I wanted to get all A's, could you give me the answers to your test and what would it have to look like? What would you need to see from me for this to be just a smashing success today? You'd be like, absolutely, man. Here's what I'm looking for. Here are the things. And probably some of it's like, I want you to be real. I want you to, I want to have no agenda. I just want to go back. And I get, what does an A+ look like to Tim? You can go through that in the same way and say, okay, so what are the answers to the test? And you can do that in a transaction, one-on-one with clients. Say, hey, by the end of this, I want you to imagine that we're at the end of this and you get to rate me on a scale of 1 to 5 or an A+, like school. And what would an A look like for you? And if I were to do that and do everything right, what would you need to see from me to really score that way? And I want to make sure that we reverse engineer your experience. And all of a sudden people are like, wow, man, I never thought about it. Maybe they hadn't thought about it. Now you're getting them to think. But I would ask those questions, and then I would then structure those to help meet them and say, okay, now let's just say they're on the downside, right? They're feeling low. They're below the line on the courage scale, right? And then I'd say, okay, so then what an opportunity to be the light. What an opportunity, because people want to feel a sense of hope, but you can't go in there and just be a platitude cliche. We got to get our energy up, guys. We've got to see the positive in things. You got to go a little deeper than that. You got to have some substance, some logos, logic that backs that up, along with a congruent delivery of it. And so when I say congruent delivery, I'm speaking the words that are coming in your mouth and the body language and the tone of voice that you carry. All of those speak with a sense of confidence and congruency. Because when we're speaking, what people are judging, even unconsciously, is the congruency of our message. If there's I'm really excited to be here today, Tim. God, just so many great things are happening. So the incongruency is the word to say I'm excited, things are great, but the words and the tone are going in a different way. My words and my body's saying this and my tone's saying this. So there's an incongruency. The hard part of Amplify is that I tell people, it's not that I'm picking on you. I'm just trying to get you to be congruent, which means you got to look in the mirror and you might not like what you see right away. But then the changes happen. And so I would say that the big pieces, if you want to be the light, ask yourself, contemplation. Do you believe that there's positive things that are happening in the market right now? If you don't, you might want to begin there and start finding out places. And because you're not going to deliver very congruently something you don't personally believe in. And so you've got to surround yourself with the right people, talk to the Barrys and the Keeping Current Matters and the Dave Savages and the Tim Brahims and all the people that have this knowledge and the opportunities that are happening. Begin with that and get yourself into the right place. And then for me, I look for what are things that maybe they haven't heard before, or a new take on something that maybe they haven't seen. And what's something that a refreshing look at something, and then always leave them with a skill or something they can do with it. an application of some